In this video, we're going to talk about the Java class library. So it turns out that we don't have to write every piece of code in order to build our applications, because Java itself brings a lot of different classes and libraries that we can borrow, we can use to build upon them, right? So we can use those classes that are pre-built, pre-baked, if you will, so we can leverage them into building our own applications. So if you go to docs.oracle.com and Java SE, and the link, as you can see here, you will see, or if you just type the Java library, the Java class library, most likely will get this link here. So docs.oracle.com, Java SE/7 docs API, just like you see here. And it will take you to this page here, okay? And as you can see, this page is it has a lot of information here. Okay, a lot of information, and first thing you see here at the top, it says overview. There's a lot of things that may seem very advanced, which it's true, because these documents were created for Java developers, professional Java developers. But nonetheless, I think it's a good idea for us to start looking into it. That way we understand the bigger scope of Java language, and that there is a lot of code, pre-built code, that all we have to do is just use it. Okay, so we see packages here at the top. If we click, we have overview. Look to the left here, we see packages, and you remember packages is how we organize our code. So that means all of the packages, all of the code that's related to the applet, which we haven't talked about, is inside of Java.applet package, right? Just like we had our applications when we created our programs, we would say com.magadistudio. The name of the program of the class, right? So that's how it's all organized, right? So if we go back and we can see all of these different packages that you probably never heard of, right? So for instance, the Java IO, that is a package that contains all of these different classes pertaining to, well, for input and output, how to create files, to write into them, and so forth, okay? Input streams and many, many other things. File readers, file writers, and all of these classes that we can just take them and use them in our programs. That way we don't have to write ourselves that code, which usually is very complex. So the smart programmers have created all these classes, all these libraries that we can use. Isn't that great? So for instance, the java.lang, right, has all of the classes here for boolean, bytes, and all the classes that you can see here. Now, how do we read it? How do we find information? Obviously, you don't have to go and know everything, because there's so many pages of documentation, but it helps us understand and help us in general when we are building our applications, and we want to make sure we understand a certain class that we need to borrow, right, from this library. For instance, if we want to know a little bit more about the string builder, right? So when you click to string builder, look, making sure we are inside of our java.lang. So we go down here, we find in our classes, we're going to find here our string builder. There we go. You click on it, to the right, you see we have java.lang. So that is our package, okay? So class string builder, and it gives you all the information and all of the stuff. You can go ahead and read, and you see here the tag tells us about the constructor summary. And as we said before, a class could have more than one constructor, as you can see here. So string build, this is an empty constructor, right? Then we have another constructor where we can put a sequence, a char sequence, okay? And this one you can put capacity, you can put an integer or string. So you can see all we talked about our class, how to create our own classes, it's actually been used as well in the Java class library. Okay, so it shows here methods as well. So we can append. Again, we have this overloading, right? Methods overloading here, because this append is the same method, but all of them have different signature. They have different parameters. So when we instantiate our string builder, we can choose which method we want to use depending on the situation. Okay, so you can see now the power of overloading methods and constructors here. Okay, so it gives us a lot of more flexibility. So you can see if you are not sure how to use this class string builder, for instance, you can come up here and find it, just like what we did. Go to java.lang, and then we went and found our class, our string builder class here. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look in code. See how we can use this string builder. Go ahead and instantiate and create an object of this class using this class. Okay, so how do we do that? I went ahead and opened up our first Hello World app here, so that way we don't have to create a new one. And let me go ahead and comment this out. And I'm gonna give ourselves a lot of space here. So we're gonna work with string builder class. Well, what we can do, we can go ahead and say string builder, and you can see right away this IDE gives us a hint of what we're typing. So we say string, and there it is, string builder, and look what's happening here. Right away we have java.lang, which is exactly what we looked at in the documentation, right? Because that's the package. And the good thing also, if you look, it gives us an overview of what it does. So you can go ahead and read, and gives you an idea of what this class does. You can scroll up and down, and there's a lot of information here. That's another great tool we have with our IDE, is that we can have all this information here. And of course, we have links where we can click, and it takes us to the documentation, right? Java.lang, that string buffer. Okay. So we know what we're going to be using. So string buffer, we're going to call string builder. We're going to call this string builder, okay, is equal to new string builder. There we go. So now we have an instance of this class here, an object, so we can start doing things with it. Well, what do we want to do? Let's go back to our documentation here and see what we need to do. What we can do, right? Behaviors we can use. So we can append, apparently we can append characters, we can append integers, we can append strings, we can append a lot of things, right? So let's use one of them. So we have a lot of things we can do. So we can go back here, we can say, for instance, we want to create a string builder. So we can say string builder dot, and the moment you say dot, the operator dot, you will notice we have all of these options here, right? So we can append and all these things. So for now, we just want to append a string. Well, we can put a string there. Hello, okay? And if we go system.out.println and say string builder, right? We're going to print that out. Guess what's going to happen? We see here at the bottom says hello. Since we're building a string, we can keep adding or appending things to our string. So we can string builder again, that append. Let's say we want to just append a character. We can just go ahead and append C, for instance, right? And save, run, look, hello C. Let's keep going. Let's say string builder dot, and let's see something else. Let's look at length. One of the things that I would like to show you also is you can see in our methods what return types they also have. For instance, we know that the length here, it says length and colon int, right? That means that returns an int. And also, you can read right away here, it returns the length of this character sequence. The length is the number of 16-bit chars in the sequence. So it says returns the number of chars in the sequence. It tells us right away what it returns. It returns an integer. You can see it right here. Perfect. So what we can do now, actually, since it's just returned something, we can actually go here in our system out, say length, right? Say string builder dot length, save. Look what's going to happen. Run and say 6, because that now says the length of this string that we're building is 6. Is it true? Let's go ahead and count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you can see as we add more things to our string builder, let's add append something else, Apollo, for instance. Let's run again. Now it says 11. So as we add, of course, it will go update and give us the length of our string that we're building. So you can see the power now that we have here. We did not have to go and write a string builder class, right? Because that's a complicated task, of course. But it's all there. So now we're using classes from our library that comes with Java. So we don't have to build a string builder from scratch. Okay? Now, this is the power that we were talking about of object-oriented programming, because all we had to do is just know, oh, there's a string builder class. Okay, I wonder if I can instantiate it. Oh, yeah, you can instantiate it. Oh, what else can I do? Well, let me see. Go to the documentation, right? And say, oh, okay, here are the methods. Okay, great. So I can append, I can do all these things, you know. Okay, so there we go. Now I know how to use it. And there, just like that, you were able to leverage something that has been built into the libraries to our advantage. Okay, so let's see what else can we do here. If we go string builder dot, let's see what other methods we can use. Well, let's see what the capacity is. Well, we know it's an integer, which means returns an integer, returns the current capacity. The capacity is the amount of storage available for newly inserted characters, beyond which an allocation will occur. Well, let's go ahead and print this out. Let's go ahead here. Let's say string builder dot capacity. Let's see what that will show us. Let's run. Looks like capacity is 16. All right, so there we go. There's a lot of things we can do. Let's go figure out what else can we do here. String builder dot. Let's find something else here. Delete it tells us there, delete int start, which means we want to say from where we want to start deleting, and int end, and where we want to end this deletion. Okay, so it removes a character. Let's go and try and figure out. So let's say if we want delete starting from 1 and end at 2. Let's see what's that gonna do. Let's save. Let's see what we're gonna get. Let me get rid of this because we don't need the capacity anymore. Let's save it. Let's run. So now it deleted the hello. So it deleted the E because we said it starts from 1 and 2. That means the second letter here has to be deleted because the first letter H is 0. And of course, 1 is the letter E. Okay. There we go. Let's say if we want to delete from 1, start 1 and ending at 3. What's going to be happening here? Run again. And you see, so now we got rid of E and L. I hope in this video we're able to see what we have available to us when it comes to classes in the Java class library. I know this may be a little bit intimidating, but at the same time, I would like you to start getting to the habit of coming to this document here and start looking at classes, and most of them will make no sense. That's totally fine. You know, I know professional developers or programmers who have programming for years. There's certain things that it's new to them or they've never used it. That's fine, and you don't have to know all of this. That's the reason why they have a documentation. But you do have to know how to read, how to find information when you're stuck or when you are unsure whether a certain function or a certain class that you may want to use is already pre-baked, is already here. Because it makes no sense for you to spend all this time trying to make a class that does something while you could have just come here and find it and find the class that does exactly what you are trying to accomplish, right? So that's the beauty of having this. Perfect. All right, so with that said, I will see you in the next video.